Tonight, stunning new revelations on anti-Trump bias at the FBI. As you know, two top agents removed from Mueller's Russia investigation exchanged tens of thousands of texts. Many of them disparaged President Trump, who they were investigating. According to two lawmakers, Peter Strzok and Lisa Page also spoke of a secret society formed at the FBI after Mr. Trump's election.
The day after the election, the day after what they really didn't want to have happen, there's a text exchange between these two FBI agents, these two supposed to be objective, fact-centric FBI agents saying perhaps this is the first meeting of the secret society. So, of course, I'm going to want to know what secret society are you talking about, because you're supposed to be investigating objectively the person who just won the Electoral College. So, yeah, I'm going to want to know.
5 months worth of texts between the pair have gone MIA. The FBI's lost them. The president calls it one of the biggest stories in a long time. The Justice Department insists it will get to the bottom of it. But here's one that wasn't lost. It shows Strzok expressing skepticism the Mueller probe would uncover any wrongdoing by the president and his team. Quote, "My gut sense and concern, there's no big there." Sarah Sanders was asked about the president's thoughts on these new developments just moments ago.
I think he thinks that there's a great cause for concern that 5 months worth of text messages have gone missing, particularly given the individual that has part of that process has already been shown to be extremely biased against the president and was involved in what seems to be some very inappropriate behavior. And that certainly is a great concern.
Okay, and speaking of secret societies, clearly there is one between Dana Perino, myself, and Sarah Sanders in shades of pink and purple.
Juan is
trying to
honorary member.
Gain admittance.
Yeah, he's rushing.
I got the memo. I'm trying to match Greg's head.
Exactly. Poor Greg. It looks better today, by the way. I hope you're
It
not
does.
concussed.
It's makeup.
Yeah.
All right. Maybe it'll radically change your personality, the little bump, okay? All right, Dana, so what do you make of this? Like, the email's gone, investigation going forward, strong statements from the AG, and now mention of a secret society.
Well, and I don't know. I don't make too much out of any of it, because I think that all of it's coming out in little pieces. You don't know what the context is. And there are people that are pushing a particular agenda that might say, well, this obviously means this. It could actually mean something else. We don't know. The fact I've been at the White House at a time when there were emails that were on a server that went missing, and it's like there was a technical problem and where they were, and it caused a huge hullabaloo for a long time. They ultimately were found, and I think that the FBI, having the tools that it has, probably will be able to find them. And Richard Burr, the Senate Intelligence Committee chairman, he said that he doesn't think there was anything nefarious, that it was technical. Maybe that's true, maybe it's not, I don't know. And then you have the point that the email that you just read, or the text, where he says, Strzok says, I don't really think there's any there. That would seem to support the president's position that there is no collusion. So it's just really very much all over the map. And I'm just going to wait to make any conclusions until there is some sort of conclusion by everyone else.
Jesse, often are you just sitting in awe of Dana's reasonableness?
I'm going to do the opposite of
approach.
Dana and not wait for any more conclusion.
Be yourself.
I'm going to make more out of this than Dana's willing to make, because it looks to me like there's rogue federal agents trying to corrupt the justice system and undermine American democracy. If you have FBI agents texting about brushing up on Watergate and impeachment right after Trump's election, and you have a talk about a secret society between FBI agents and justice officials who were the same people talking about creating an insurance policy to protect the country against the election of Donald Trump. That seems pretty sketchy to me, and these are the same people now are working on the Mueller team before they were fired. Now, also, the counterintelligence and counter-espionage agent of the FBI was tapped to be on the Mueller team, and the first thing that comes to his mind is, there's no there. There's no collusion. I mean, that says a lot, because that's his job. That's his wheelhouse right there. And so he gets put into that position. They don't really find any collusion so far. And now it looks like an obstruction of justice case that they're making. And who is the chief witness for obstruction of justice? It's James Comey, the best friend for Robert Mueller. So he illegally leaks the memo to his buddy, the professor, a few blocks away at Columbia. And now Comey hires his buddy, the professor, to represent him as his personal attorney. So that locks down the professor's testimony, very cagey. And then all of a sudden, the FBI texts go missing? The FBI, their entire job is to retain intelligence. And then they lost the intelligence from the critical time period when this investigation began. It doesn't make sense. And then today, the chief of staff for James Comey and the current FBI director, Wray, resigns all of a sudden. I'm willing to make a little bit more of it than Dana Perino, but she's always been more cautious.
All right. Well, Jesse making hay. So what do you say?
Well, I'm going to try to make as much sense as possible, which means I will make no sense. I enjoyed the scandal ping pong of all of this. So every time some entity pushes the Russian collusion narrative, it pops up. Then the FBI, DOJ, Clinton cover-up comes right back. It's like the Trump critics are relieving themselves in the wind. And it feels good at the moment, but then they end up all wet.
Yeah.
There you go. Thank you. But the text, the text between these two FBI agents, it does reflect what we always knew and what we saw, a visceral and emotional reaction to Donald Trump. People hated him so much, and still do, that they feel justified to do anything because their sense of righteousness made it okay. They were like, it gave them the greater purpose. And then you throw into that the romance of it. So they're in love, they're having an affair, they're poor spouses. And so it's like you could hear David Bowie's Heroes in the background as they talk about it's a two against us. And there's a secret society. We have a tree house down by the river with secret handshakes. And I go back to what always my place of wisdom, which is the Brady Bunch. Mom always said, never play ball in the house.
Yeah.
And this is what happens when you play ball in the house. It's true. They played ball in the house. And
on their government phone.
On their government phone. And also,
you got Brady bunched yesterday.
Yeah, you know what I did? I got hit. I got Marsha Brady'd in my face. Yeah. But a lot of this noise, this conspiracy stuff exists because it can. America is a resilient country. The economy's barreling along. So we could go on and on and on about this as America goes on. Yeah. It's almost as though the media, like we're watching a Netflix series where we're almost done. But the media is still stuck on the first episode. They can't move on from this stuff. They're just spinning their wheels because it's just, they can't let go. Don't play ball in the house.
All right, well, it seems like you've got some energy. You're doing better today.
No, I thank God for prescription medications.
Okay, so just
and some other ones.
Business as usual for Greg Gutfeld. So, Juan, what do you make of these current developments?
Well, breaking news here on the Fox News Channel. Nobody mentions it, but apparently the Attorney General was interviewed by Robert Mueller. Oh, my gosh, this is the first time a Trump cabinet secretary has been interviewed by the special counsel. Not only that, another breaking news event, Jim Comey interviewed by the special counsel, Robert Mueller. Meanwhile, what we've learned is...
That's what we're here for.
Yeah, and then more news here on Fox. Guess what? It's unbelievable.
Guess what?
Apparently, the Attorney General has been pressuring Christopher Wray, the FBI director, to go after Andrew McCabe, the #2 guy. And guess what? The Trump nominee, the Trump guy at FBI said to the Trump Attorney General, if you want this done, get somebody else in here. He didn't say he was going to quit, but he said he'd have somebody else do it. Right. Oh, my gosh. So what do we have here? We have a picture of the Trump administration right now on its heels and fighting to muddy up, dirty, discredit the FBI and Robert Mueller. Meanwhile, Mueller is having stepped-up activity, and it's driving not only towards the possibility of collusion, but also towards obstruction of justice. And at this moment, what do you get? A counterattack from the Trump stooges on Capitol Hill.
Ooh, stooges?
Yeah. Who also,
there's
imagine that two people having an affair are texting each other. And imagine that people inside the FBI have opinions about ongoing investigations, as if that is now a reason to say the FBI, is like a horse cage and needs to be cleaned up.
So guess what, Juan? Collusion only matters if it's somebody you don't like. If you don't like that person, then it's collusion. But if you like that person, it's a choice for president, then you'll ignore any real collusion, which is admitting that there was no Russian collusion, that Lynch knew ahead of time, that there were thousands of texts lost, and that there's a secret society. But that's not collusion because you like Hillary.
No, if there
get
was
this.
collusion, I would be all with you. But I'm just saying, even at this moment, I was struck today to read that some Democrats are concerned about the impact that Russia is having right now in the midst of the. Of
course they are. That's their spin.
In the midst of the argument over the DACA program, guess what? We've seen increased activity by these things.
Democrats didn't care about Russia during the Cold War. Now all of a sudden they care so much.
Oh, yeah, because it looks like we have ongoing
When it really
interference.
mattered, when we were fighting to the death with the Russian communists, the Democrats were caving and they were appeasing. Now when Russia's not a threat, all of a sudden they want to fight the Cold War
let me
again.
just say this to you, Jesse.
Yes.
Chris Wray,
Yes.
what do you think? You trust him?
I trust anybody that keeps emails and texts.
Oh,
Where
I
did the
see.
texts go, Juan?
I see. So you
the same
don't
place
trust.
that Hillary's
Let me
emails
get this
went?
straight.
Bleach
You
pit.
I'm
don't
worried
trust
about the texts.
Donald
Where'd they
Trump's-
go, Juan?
I see. You
Where'd
don't
they go?
trust.
The same place the IRS emails
All
went?
right, all right.
Screaming
Let me
is
get-
not an effective defense.
Right, well, I'm going to
This
put
is
it
not
I'm not
a wrestling
defending
Hold
game.
on.
anything.
I have to go to my secret society partner right here, Dana Perino, for the final word to clean this mess up.
Well, there's a lot of smoke coming from a lot of different directions. Where there's smoke, there's a lot of fire. People learn that in investigations all the time. Like former Governor Chris Christie, for example, like basically had Bridgegate come down, fall upon him like a ton of bricks, and basically ruin his chances for a future political office. So, things can happen along the way, but these investigations take a lot of time. And it is sort of like Americans tune into the news because it is almost entertainment now.
Yeah.
So we expect something new every day. So I think that's why you have these different entities pushing one narrative, and then, if you're going to put out the thing about the missing text, I'll put out there that the Mueller investigation interviewed the Attorney General and the former FBI director. So now we can have
They're all
a
equal.
new scene.
And they're all equal. Like, you can't, they're all like, it's like, pros and cons. Each one's equal. They need to have a lost and found for missing texts. Somebody's got to invent that. Like, I lost 50,000 texts. Surely somebody could find those. That's
I
like
think they'll probably
Surely.
find them.
It's the size of a small car.
Well, they have to do
50,000.
But they weren't 50,000
Recover
texts that were missing.
deleted
They don't know
files.
how many are missing. They had 50,000 that they've reviewed.
I thought there was 50,000 missing. No. I should probably read more closely.
Well,
But then that would
It doesn't really matter.
It
though.
doesn't really
It's just
matter?
it could be 100,000 texts. They
It's
don't know
probably
how many are
500,000.
missing.
well, you are injured and concussed potentially, but we'll have a CAT scan and get back to you tomorrow.